know there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP Morning Show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, you gumpers.
Hey, you gumpers! Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show live stream and podcast. How are you this morning? Thank you very much for your concern, Peter Bleach. Even in Portuguese, you're mothering me in Portuguese. Espero que tenha finalmente resolvido esta dor de dentes, Carl. It's very good of you to mother me, but there's no need, because as you can see from the screen, my mum is going to be with us from 9:30 this morning. We have intrepid travellers this morning. Got the wonderful Ivy Dawn, who's celebrating a year here in Portugal. And I've been friends with Ivy for that year, since she moved to Alcobaça here on the Silver Coast. And it'll be lovely to hear her story of why she chose Portugal and how it's been for her in this. Oh, I've got a lovely green tinge to my beard, which needs a trim, clearly, doesn't it? I'll take care of that sometime within the next 72 hours, I think. But lovely Ivy Dawn joining us on the screen from around 9 this morning. And then my old mum is joining us from 9:30. So do you remember last time when she was here and you were able to ask questions? What was Carl like when he was a little boy? He was a little mummy's boy, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. She'll be here at 9:30 this morning, so you can quiz her then about all the many places she's been to. And I think, Pete, talking to you again this morning, that she gives you a run for your money in terms of world travel. You two, I think, might be playing travel top trumps with all the places you've been to in the world. She's very well traveled. She loves traveling and she loves Portugal. She'll tell you all about that. And you can ask her about all the wonderful places she's been to. Same with Ivy Dawn. She's well traveled and loves Portugal too. So milestones and top travelers this morning is what it's all about, including yours. If you have a milestone to celebrate on your journey to Portugal, please do that here. You know, we're always very happy to hear about your plans and your adventure here to Portugal. And of course, if we can help in any way possible, you know where to. We are Portugal. Just ask us those questions. Michael, good to see you here as well. And just didn't catch your question whilst we were corresponding just before the show. The Bon dia todos from a very bright and sunny VRSA. I think that's VRSA, not VSRA, if you don't mind me saying, Michael. And you were asking about the wine that we'll be drinking next Monday evening at 8 o'clock. That will be the Altopina. Who doesn't like an Altopina first thing in the morning? Some do, I suspect, even in their soup. It's a Portuguese thing, isn't it, to put wine in your soup? But that's what we'll be drinking next Monday evening, 8 o'clock, chosen by Garvo, Vinhas Velhas from the Setúbal region of Portugal. And we'll have somebody on from the show. We'll have somebody on from the company on the show who will tell us all about it, from the producers. We're just putting the final touches on that arrangement, but it's always great when we have somebody from the actual wine producer joining us on screen, and they may do us the honor of leading us through the wine tasting. So there you go, Monday. Altopina of Vinhas Velhas is the subtitle of that wine, and a fine-looking label, one of those labels that makes you feel a little bit influenced, doesn't it, to move towards that one? Well, I quite like the look of it. I quite like the price. Actually, label's great. Let's go. It's that kind of buying process, I think, certainly for me with that one. What about you? And a blue foil on it is also very nice, isn't it? It's a nice blue foil. Do those have any other significance? You wine buffs here. Do the colors of foils have any significance on a bottle of wine? Okay. Questions from my mum already coming in. Thank you for that, Pete. Who's in this morning? T-Duck was in at 8:03 with wonderful content for us, including a couple of cracking dad jokes. With all the fun we had yesterday morning, I forgot to do the dad jokes, and they would have been really great with Bruce Joffrey, who's always good value. Have you been thinking about him naked in the shower, singing nursery rhymes? Me neither, but you know you will at some point. Maybe when you're in the shower as well and you have a really strange memory association thing going on. T-Duck in, Bon de Alegria at 8:03 this morning. And let's start with a deep thought from T-Duck. We've been trained to believe that endless rule by tiny minorities of really horrible people. It was the natural order of things. But that, it does appear that way, doesn't it? But that turns out to be just another lie. So the 1% is not a natural thing. You could say, couldn't you? Oh, it's human nature. People love power and money, and a few of them rise to the top. Yeah, I'm moaning again. We've got a moan about moaning, actually, somewhere in the chat there. But we've been trained to believe that endless rule by tiny minorities. I think Macron kind of ticks that box on a number of levels, doesn't he? As a tiny minority of really horrible people is the natural order of things, but that turns out to be just another lie. Well, let's make it so. Talking of making it so, we've got a nice Star Trek meme from James. Better this morning. Oh my goodness. Even a dad doing a dad joke is reluctant to. There are two, aren't there? There is the I'm hungry routine, which my children absolutely detest. Doesn't stop me doing it, mind, but I'm always going to reply when they say I'm hungry. I'm dad. Pleased to meet you. And of course, the fun guy. Is there a trinity of those most of groansome of dad jokes? I'm hungry, fun guy, and what's another one that we wince inside as we're doing them? Matt Taibbi then is an American author, journalist, and podcaster. Isn't everyone these days? The latter, anyway. He has reported on finance, media, politics, and sports. He's a Renaissance writer then. He was a former contributing editor to Rolling Stone. Taibbi's work often has drawn comparisons to the gonzo journalism of writer Hunter S. Thompson, what a genre, who also covered politics for Rolling Stone magazine. Excellent stuff. Portuguese saying then of the day, mais vale tarde do que nunca. That's a little bit like yesterday's, isn't it? And often, I suppose, proverbs, aphorisms do start with it is better. So mais vale then, it is better. Tarde do que nunca, it's better late than never. Is that aimed at me, I wonder, with our start time of 8:31 or thereabouts? I hope you think so, that it is better late than never, rather better never than late. Who knew? As we edge our way ever closer. And remember, Pete was asking about the Eurovision entry, and who doesn't like a Eurovision entry first thing in the morning? The Portuguese entry. What do you make of it? What's she called? Maxi Cat? Catty Max? Something like that. Anyway, the final of the Eurovision Song Contest, which will be held in Liverpool. Peter, play nicely, be nice. The grand final, 13th of May then. An interminable time until we get there to the final. Here's some Portuguese Hugo Nuno relating to the Eurovision Song Contest. Salvador Sobral is a Portuguese singer from Lisbon who won the Eurovision Song Contest for Portugal in 2017. He was the first Portuguese singer to win the Eurovision Song Contest. And of course, we were reminded, weren't we, the importance of the Eurovision song when in 1974 it was played on the radio. It didn't win, but it was the entry, I believe, for the Eurovision Song Contest in 74, and it was a signal on national radio to start the revolution. I wonder if that's going to happen anywhere this year in a Eurovision country, which of course doesn't have to be in Europe. Australia and Israel are, I think, in Eurovision as notable exceptions. Who else can anyone? I think there are some very serious Eurovision fans among us here. Maybe you can answer that question. So Salvador Sobral, and I love this tune. It was the winner when we arrived here in Portugal. He was the first Portuguese singer to win the Eurovision Song Contest. And it wasn't all singing, all dancing, flashing lights, fireworks, pyrotechnics kind of tune, was it? It was quite laid back and sweet, which was a little bit exceptional. His entry, Amor pelos dois, holds the record for the highest scoring winner. On the 5th of September 2017, Sobral announced that he would go on a temporary hiatus due to health concerns. A temporary hiatus does indeed sound like its own health condition, doesn't it? On the 8th of December, Sobral underwent a successful heart transplant. He left, and there was a real saudade. Maybe he really felt it. The song that he kept singing about his sore heart, I think, because that was definitely the tone of the tune. Sobral underwent a successful heart transplant. He left the hospital in January 2018 with doctors telling him to take life quietly and keep away from crowds. Not an easy thing to do when you're a Eurovision song winner. I didn't know all of that backstory to Salvador Sobral's winning entry in 2017. Brilliant stuff. Thank you, T-Duck, for that. Coach Turner with some input now. God Squad tip of the day. Bon dia, Gumpers, says Coach Turner. And this you will find over on the GMP VIP site. We're building it, Coach Turner. We're putting all those lovely resources, 50 videos to help the bon viveurs keep in good shape to grow old disgracefully. Off to Ely today to see the cathedral. Pics may be incoming. Enjoy your day. Yes, always love a picture of a large Gothic erection. So do send that to us, or do send those to us, Coach Turner. Have a great day in Ely in the UK. God Squad tip of the day. While cycling is good aerobic exercise, swimming works the whole body. So it's fantastic for general fitness and health. However, as with cycling, it's not weight bearing, not quite the opposite, really. So mix it up with walking, run or walk to the swimming pool or the velodrome, dancing around the kitchen, mix it up with swimming. Do both in terms of the strokes, and who doesn't like, no, steady, and the speed. Yes, so you can fartlek in the pool. Hopefully you don't get one of those purple clouds in the water, but yes, swimming fartlek or jacuzzi. It's also known. Are you okay over there? Yeah, I'm fine. I'll be with you in just a moment. That's no jacuzzi in this pool. Weird. Bom dia, Gumpers. Feliz Cata todos. Como estão? Tudo bem? From James this morning. And responding to yesterday's start to the show, stop moaning. Goodness gracious. If you don't moan, complain, then there's no motivation. Is he moaning about me telling people to not moan? I think he is. There's no motivation for anything. This is the last refuge of the moaners, isn't it? There won't be any improvement if we don't moan. The livros de reclamações are the complaints books in Portugal. Have you noticed that for the first time and thought to yourself, does that work, I wonder? Or do I need to complain about the lack of efficiency of the complaints book? There you go. The livro de reclamações is a thing in Portugal. And that is one of the, I suppose, that's taking it to the next level. If you're not satisfied with the service anywhere, and I must get me one. If you're not, or should I? When you're not satisfied with the service anyway, you can ask for the complaints book. And that suddenly changes the atmosphere. The person in front of you might double down and say, we haven't got one. Or there's the stinking, not receipts book, quite the opposite, the complaints book. Put it in there. See if I care. Or they may say, come on, let's talk about this. It is a serious thing here in Portugal. And I think it's an old tradition. Let's have a little bit of a deep dive into that. How about that, T-Duck, for a little bit of an ugununu about the complaints books here in Portugal. And we've got Capricorn Chris here this morning. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us last night, Capricorn Chris. Wasn't it great talking to Daniel Farhani? And because we were talking to the notable architect in our community, Daniel of Crad Design Studio, the wonderful César Vieira came up, the legendary Portuguese architect who until then I had not heard of. Thank you, T-Duck, for finding these at very quick notice. There he is. It looks like he is sketching out the current inflation chart there with a nice rise towards the end. And who doesn't like? And in fact, nobody likes a high rise of inflation first thing in the morning, do they? But there he is. He's got a cig on. He's in his beautiful white marble studio with his white shirt on. I mean, if you had to guess what his profession was, you could guess there was a Saab parked in the car park and that this gentleman, César Vieira, is indeed top architect of Portugal, one of the most decorated Portuguese architects. And there's an example of his work. And that's real, isn't it? Those aren't those little plastic figures from a model railway at the bottom. That's an actual built concept there. What a beautiful building. He is your gallery man, I think. And I'm sure I've seen his work around Portugal. Great to talk to Daniel last night. Some real revelations. You can get a house built for between 200 and 250,000, not including the land, but you can get an architect involved. He doesn't have to look like that, but it could. Probably not on that scale for $250,000. But Daniel was an extraordinary fellow. Works on the most incredible large-scale projects with teams, and also is happy to do little refurbs. And he worked on a 25k renovation here in Portugal. Lovely man. Great talking to him. And we'll be doing energy efficiency next time we see him and ratings thereof. It is not a guarantee that you won't get mold if you've got a good energy rating, he was keen to point out last night, and addressed Chris's question about building in containers. Good answers coming from Daniel last night. Bon dia, says Suze. Glad you caught up to us with the time change. I just let it take its course, quite frankly, Suze. Nothing to do with me, but here we are. We seem to be back on the right side of time. Maybe. Is there a right side of time, or is it just more man-made nonsense that's driving us crazy at the moment? If we have to do this darn thing, you'd think it would happen on the same day. Yeah, this darn thing. Do we have to do it at all? No, we don't. Is the answer. But we seem to. It seems to be one of many habits that we cling on to as funny human beings, right? Francis is here, the Portugal sun. Bom dia, alegria a todos. Lovely couple of pics from you and a couple of videos as well before we say hi to Ivy Dawn at 9 this morning. The first of which, some beautiful magnolia. You were here in magnolia time. Look at the colors there. Against the pinky blue sky are some pink magnolia flowers. They are magnolias, are they not? And this one as well in Porto. I've taken a picture. Not as good as this one of the church. I can't remember which part of town that is. Is that the Bonfim Church? I wonder. Do let me know, Francis. And a crisscross in the sky captured there. That's not condensation, is it? I'm pretty sure the skies are being sprayed now. Just a personal opinion. No one need get their knickers in a twist or do the classic nonsense. When I see the patterns of the planes in the sky, can't find the air traffic on Skyscanner, etc., I am quite sure that spraying is taking place in the skies. The question that remains for me is, I'm not entirely sure, and I don't know why or who is doing it. And we could have is that one of those things where it's just not possible to have a respectful conversation about it? People just go to their triggers with that sort of thing. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything about that. Talking of condensation and aeroplanes in the sky, how about this? Belfast yesterday. Deagle is here in Portugal. Lovely video from Deagle celebrating 30 years of marriage and 35 years of partnership and relationship. What an incredible, talking of merry milestones, that'll be one of them, wouldn't it? Well done, you two, and welcome to Portugal. Picture from the skies. Look, you know you're on an EasyJet plane, don't you, when you look out the window and you see those orange flecks there, the livery, the EasyJet livery in the sky. Lovely, with the orange against the blue. And which part of Portugal is this? Is that my bay there? I did ask him. No, that estuary is far too big. Which part of Portugal is that, I wonder? Is it indeed Portugal? It could well be. I'm thinking orientation, if he's sitting on what is the right-hand side of the plane? Stage right of a plane. What's that called? Is that start? I don't know. Let me know. But I think he is looking out over the Atlantic there, isn't he? Possibly on the Portuguese coast. Does anybody recognize? Can you see your house from there? I wonder. Fantastic. Oh, I didn't. Let's go higher up into the sky with Star Trek. I'm reading a book about anti-gravity, Spock. Sounds fascinating, Captain. I can't put it down. How about that? Very good. And the image this morning. Do you like the images I put up before the show? I do. I had a horrible realization that it's not great for the podcast listeners. And we have had a little bit of a dip in our podcast listenership just recently. Is it because I put up an image which makes it sound like the podcast will never start? It's only usually about 4, 5, 6, top 7 seconds so that we can have a look at the image. This morning's is a can of WD-40. Not that kind of can with the spray nozzle, but an actual tin can of pop that has WD-40 on it with the, again, colors. You know you're in the sky on an EasyJet with the orange detailing against the blue sky, and you know you're near WD-40 when you see that blue and yellow together. Here it is. You can drink it apparently now. Or is this for the weekend, I wonder, for Saturday? Is this going to be in the newspapers on Saturday? WD-40 you can drink for your creaky joints, and if you need a little bit of inner lubrication. Oh, matron. Okay, miss your shows. Who's this saying that? Which FU is that Facebook user? Lots of lovely comments that I must catch up on now, but not until I've played a couple of vids. And Milestone, what's this? Oh, we did that, didn't we? A meteor measuring 5,280 feet in length. Yes, it was good enough to repeat. Bob's in. Let's just say a few hellos and we'll come to your specifics in a little while. Andy Klein is with us. Francis, Michael Whitby, Bob is here this morning. Bob and Viv, good morning to you. By Randy, Paul Richards, in the Algarve, Paul. Antonio F is here as well. So good morning to you all. Stick around. Andrew Gilchrist, Lord Gilchrist is here. That'll be the starboard side. I was going to guess that, but I wussed out at the end there. So starboard side, starboard wing. Thank you, James. Everybody seems to know except me about that. And Cookie Kuyo is here. Love the images. Thank you very much. I'll be right back after this couple of vids. Let's celebrate that lovely marital milestone with Deagle. Oh, some of my videos didn't make it. I think this is the one which details the arrival of Deagle and Mrs. D.
Oh my God! Oh, thanks. Oh,
Just I love you.
oh, Deagle.
No, I think you might have been on the third floor there because of heavy breathing. Or, who knows? I don't know. But Deagle, good job there, mate. Because I love you. Bless him. That was so nice. I'm very moved by seeing that. 30 years of marriage, 35 years of knowing each other and going out with each other. Absolutely beautiful. Have a fabulous time, won't you, here in Portugal in the Algarve. And feel free to call in, Deagle, and we can congratulate you in person. Next video then. Didn't we have a lovely time the day we went to Spain? Here's Dougie popping across to Spain on the ferry from Portugal, I believe. Okay, bit slow to load. I think I'm ramming my video deck here with too much material, possibly. Oh, here we go. We're going to Spain now. Fasten your safety belts, and when you disembark, don't forget to take your belongings with you.
Good morning and welcome to Villarreal de Santo Antonio. And if you hadn't gathered, we're on the marina. Yeah, on this trip we seem to have been caught up with a bit of Guadiana fever. And the hope is that I'm going to cross over today and find myself in Ayamonte on the other side. Yeah, it's okay. It's all aboard the Skylark. And for the princely sum of €2.30, we cross the Guadiana over to the Spanish side. So there you go. Beautiful scenes. Blue skies and blue waters as we head towards Ayamonte. Well, we will soon, hopefully. That's the Guadiana Bridge in the distance. And there's the Spanish town of Ayamonte.
Now then, here we are on the other side, in the actual town of Ayamonte, and this is the central square. Yep, oh well, apologies for the wind noise, but that's our 2-minute taster over, and we're on our way back to Villarreal de Santo Antonio on the Portuguese side. See you soon, and hope you enjoyed.
Ciao for now. A little bit of wind. Must have been the tapas over there on the Spanish side, Dougie. Fantastic video. At least a couple of YouTube strikes there, I think. Sailing By, isn't that the wonderful tune that the BBC used to use at the end of the day? Brr, 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 brr. Beautiful. And then some flamenco guitar. Let's see what happens, shall we, on YouTube with that. Dougie, fantastic. Well worth playing. And that marina is the view from our living room. Not only Is that the view from your living room? Michael, thank you so much for sending me this picture in the last couple of days. In the evening, there it is. There's the marina from the living room, and those are the sunsets that you've been enjoying. Isn't that fantastic? VRSA, got to get me there one of these days. I've got a picture that may rival that. Here's my beer from a couple of nights ago. San Martino de Porto, what I call the Red Bar. A little bit of rainbow effect around the sunshine. Their starburst filter from the 1980s. Did anyone have one of those on their SLR camera? And the world through the bubbles of a Sagres Imperial there. I enjoyed that the other day. Just said to Mrs. M, I'm just popping for a little walk along the front. I'll be back with you and the kids presently. And snuck off and I had one of those. That was really nice. Excellent stuff. Boozing. There she is. She'll be with us at 9:30. It's Bring Your Mum to Work day for me anyway. And that's my mother enjoying the fizz and the cakes at Atelier de Dos up the road. She'll be with us at 9:30. And in a few minutes' time, Ivy Dawn will be with us, celebrating an annual milestone. So stay right where you are. We'll say a few more greetings. Phil Cooklin is here. Sent you a message this morning, Phil. How did it go with the launch of this one thing? Well, I hope Lady K was looking fabulous yesterday, getting ready for the first installment of your course. Wonderful. Let us know how it went in the chat, please. Phil, let's catch up. Before we go to Ivy, let's catch up with all of your comments this morning. Greetings from the Algarve, of course. Sun's out, blue sky, paradise unlimited. Isn't that a lovely feeling? And I think you're one of those people, are you not, Paul? I made this meme especially for you and your kind. Life is so good, a life so good, the word weekend becomes obsolete. How many people are enjoying that state of mind right now? A life so good, the word weekend becomes obsolete. Fabulous. I'm so glad for you if that is the case for you in your life. Starboard side, of course. Let me see. Where did we get to? We've got Lord Gilchrist shouting at everybody in a nice way. In a nice way. Jim White's here as well this morning by Randy, as I said. Okay, milestone. We got there. Miss your shows. Who is that? No need to miss us. You can catch up with us anytime on YouTube. Lovely when you're here. Oh, wine foils, that question answered. Thank you very much, Pete. Wine foils, I mean, green is an AOP, a protected origin designation, formerly AOC and VQPRD. Oh, complicated. Bleu is an IGP, protected geographical indication, and Vin de France. Okay, but not in this case, because the wine we are trying on Monday is a Portuguese wine with a blue foil. Okay, does that help? I wonder, or are those just French designations there? Orange label, intermediate products, natural sweet wine and liqueur wine. Have seen that. Very good. Bob's in as well and liking that. Hola, bon dia. Alegria from the beautiful and tranquil Bairrada region. Andy, did you get along to the Korea Palace Hotel for that spumant tasting, I wonder? Antonio, bon dia todos. Mimi Cat is dead Spanish. But it will be interesting to see how it goes without all of the costumes, as they will be half-inched. Stop it, Peter. You've already been warned about the Liverpool and Scouse stereotyping. Better late than never, unless you're talking about pain, death, or torture. Just saying. Pedantic. I think the only other people that think Australia are part of Europe, aside from Eurovision, are the Conservatives in the UK, who seem to think a trade deal with them will replace the EU one. It's a funny old thing, that, isn't it? Australia and Israel in the Eurovision. Bon dia todos from Jim up in Porto. Jim, you know that church, don't you, where we have this lovely photograph from Francis. Love that photo. Great shot, and many more to come from Francis, I'm sure, with the countdown coming back to Portugal for you. Keep us informed. Let us know how we can help, Francis, you and your family coming over here. Rowing is an awesome all-round exercise. Morning, Alfie and Andy. Oh, wow, says James. That's really great. I wonder if I can improve on it. Improvement without complaint. Thank you, James, because as it turns out, the red books do absolutely nothing. The red book doesn't really resolve anything. I think some people do feel reassured that they can ask for it. Alfie says, this morning. Is that how Alfie talks? The sky's atmosphere is a chaotic system and therefore hard to predict, and it can create bizarre optical treats. Yes, so many more than when we were kids, right? I know, shouldn't go there, should I? Not as nice as Portuguese Largo. What do you mean? Oh, that's the coastline of Figueira da Foz. Let me just show that very quickly before we welcome Ivy Dawn onto the screen. So looking out of the window with Deagle, we've got Andy thinking that's Figueira da Foz there. You have a fine grasp of Portuguese geography. VRSA is nice. That's an understatement, isn't it? We went to Ayamonte for an afternoon, says Lord Gilchrist, and sun rises in the east. It was fantastic. Wonderful group of people for the Just One Thing session. Lovely first session. I'm so glad to hear that. And our weekend starts today. Well, on Wednesday, absolutely lovely sunrise, a warm, beautiful day, some more bushes to trim, a table made entirely from our own wood. Pete loves to use his own wood first thing in the morning. To sand and drill. Speaking of Portugal, says James, check your WhatsApp. I will, but not yet, because we need to give her a nice big round of applause. And welcome her onto the screen. Ivy Dawn, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, Carl. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm having a great time hanging out with friends here, as we do every weekday morning on the Good Morning Portugal show. And I'm so glad you could join us this morning.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here and chit-chat with everybody this morning.
Excellent, excellent stuff. Now, it is a day of milestones, merry milestones and top travelers, because I think you were pretty well traveled before you came to Portugal.
Yeah, I did a bit of traveling. I was in the military. I was in the Army and in the Navy. So I did a little bit, just a little bit, not a lot.
I imagine that is quite a lot by most people's standards. Any standout places that you went to around the world?
Oh, Portugal? Yeah, no. Literally, I stopped in Portugal, I think maybe in 2009, something around that time. And I just got out of the plane and I looked around. I was like, this is gorgeous. I want to live here when I grow up one day. And, lo and behold, I guess I spoke it to fruition. And so now here I am. But Dublin was fun. Italy was fun. And, nice places. Everything's lovely. But by far, Portugal was the best.
I love that. So you made it happen. You set foot here. Did you say 2009?
Approximately, yeah. Somewhere between 8, 9, and 10. We were in Portugal for just a little bit, like a day or two, and I just loved it. And I was like, "Ooh, when I grow up, I'm going to live here." I was already grown at the time, but
no, I understand. Because when you're in the military, I guess you have a point to look forward to, don't you, upon leaving the service, about where you might put yourself in the world. And some people, of course, just want to go home, don't they? What they know as home. And others are thinking, like you, perhaps, I'm going to go to my favorite place. And you made it happen. So you had a sense then in 2009 or 10 that Portugal was the place for you. And then obviously it took a few more years to come here. When did that really start to happen? And when did that become a reality for you?
I believe it was right around the fall of 2020, the summer of 2020, to be honest with you. But then I just thought about it. It was just a thought bubble. And I said, I should retire in a year and move and just leave this country. There was a lot going on in the country. So I was like, I don't have to be here. So the fall of 2021, my sister and I, we decided to take a vacation. And so we're like, let's just go and just leave. Let's just leave. So we went to Portugal for like 2 weeks. And we did some scouting while we were here with Colleen in Portugal, the place. It was like when they were very young back then. But I decided when I got back to America that I went ahead and dropped my retirement papers. My vacation, it really wasn't supposed to be scouting, but it turned into it while I was here. And when I got back, I dropped my retirement papers. And about 6 months later, I was knocking on my own new door.
That's fantastic. And you work with Colleen and Clyde over there at Portugal, the place. It'd be nice to mention them and how helpful they were in your process. And of course, they're based in Alcobaça, and you're part of the Alcobaça phenomenon, aren't you? Which it is, isn't it, really? I mean, with the place being there and helping so many people move to that part of the Silver Coast. What was it when you first arrived in Alcobaça that made you think, wow, this is not only do I love Portugal, but I think I love this particular place and I want to be here?
It was the authentic and the rustic feel of the place. It wasn't overcrowded. It wasn't dead. It was very scenic and beautiful. Just the view outside of my patio here. I have the mountain ranges. I have the monastery and, the the cobblestone streets, and it's just gorgeous, especially in this time of year. It's the grass and the green. And when I got here, I think myself and only one other lady, as far as Americans go, it was only two of us. And so now there's a whole bunch of us here in Alcobaça. So, but for about 3 or 4 months there, it was just maybe 2 or 3 of us just kind of wandering around having coffee every morning. But it was just gorgeous here, just gorgeous.
Yeah, I that to me is Alcobaça personified, how you can just get out of your house in Alcobaça, and it sounds like you live fairly centrally in the town there, and walk around. It's a lovely, go for a coffee, go for lunch. It is a beautiful town, isn't it? If you don't want to have a car and you just want to get out of your place and
Yes.
go and like be in the town, sit al fresco and watch the world. It's kind of built for that, isn't it?
It is. It's built for walking. It's built for talking. It's built for families. Very family oriented. You know, just like any other place in Portugal. You know, dinner time is served late. You spend the rest of the evening eating dinner with your family and or friends, and you go home and you talk some more, and then you go to sleep at midnight, and then you get up and do it again the next day.
Do it again the next day. So you just celebrated your year here, which will mean you've been through all the processes that anyone would have to come through with the visa and so on. How has that been? Just for people who are considering it, and you are clearly a trendsetter. You're ahead of this curve, aren't you? You're one of the first to choose Alcobaça and be there. Others have followed, and now many more people seem to be following from North America, coming over to Portugal. Can you give them a little bit of insight into how onerous or not the process was for coming here?
Well, I had thought about this myself last night. For me, I think me having a military mindset. So when I looked at the list for D7 is which I applied for, I looked at the list and I just organized everything 1 through 20. And I put it in a folder with a nice little binder with a cover on the binder. And I just collected my items and sent them in. So to me, that part was not tumultuous at all. Okay. So the most tumultuous thing was discarding all of my things in my house, in my garage. And, you know, like, this is somebody's picture of Mickey Mouse from 2000. And I don't even know where it came from, and getting rid of pictures of people in high school that I don't even know who they were, you know, so that was the most tumultuous part.
Okay, interesting. And did you have a process for that? I mean, some people like to do a triage or something similar, don't they, with those?
Yeah.
So it was the attachments, the emotional, not the rational kind of mechanistic side of moving here, but the more the emotional side that was the struggle.
It was definitely only of material things. You know, my friends and family, being in the military, we always talk. We always see each other. We FaceTime, or, you know, whatever the case may be. So I am not missing the family per se, because I can get on a plane and see anybody in 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
So, and once I got here, the process of getting everything organized, like getting utilities and getting the right place. And this is actually my second apartment. The first one was definitely, I thought I was going to stay in it for a long time, but as they say, the feng shui was all bad. Like, it was confusing, and walking into the place, it was just, it didn't settle right. So I did find another place here in Alcobaça, and it's lovely.
Yeah.
So, and everything's been pretty easy. I haven't had any reason to complain. I know people complain of mold and this, that, and another, but I haven't had any issues whatsoever, you know, or maybe I just look at things differently, you know, so.
Fascinating stuff. And Portugal, the place, of course, who you are associated with, synonymous with for some people. What is it that Clyde and Colleen do? Because they have had a meteoric rise and success, haven't they, with helping people come to Portugal? Oh,
they are amazing. They are first and foremost my friends. I mean, literally, when I got here, it was tumultuous getting here. I missed like 2 planes because of delays, and I got stuck in Madrid, and I had to catch a bus from Madrid to Lisbon. Clyde came and picked my sister and myself up from the airport, and ever since then, we just had a great bond. So they have helped me every step of the way. They started off by taking me all to the different little towns and showing me the neighborhoods and the grocery stores and the locals and the food, places that you wouldn't normally go if you're just stopping by yourself, because you wouldn't know to stop at the mom and pop restaurant, or this is how you get to the grocery store. Here's the bus route, things like that. So they were absolutely phenomenal in helping me set my foot down here in Alcobaça. And that was really one of the main reasons why I wanted to move here, because they were such a great family, such a great group of people that I wanted to be near them as well. So, not a stalker or anything, but I just thought like, oh, well, I've already got some friends, so I just might as well stay where they are. So
amazing. Alcobaça, lovely place. What would you recommend to people who are thinking of popping to that wonderfully historic, and I think it's friendly as well. All of Portugal is friendly, isn't it? It has a reputation for being so. But there is definitely a friendly vibe in Alcobaça, isn't there? I mean, you walk about, 1 minute you're going through an old sort of Gothic archway, and someone starts singing opera to you personally, it feels like.
Wow, yes, Joao's
Yeah,
great.
you've got the opera cafe, haven't you? You've got the
Yes.
monastery, which is very easy going. You think in my native UK, if you were to go to a historic building of that kind, it would have gates around it. You'd have to pay loads of money.
Drop your money to get in.
Yeah, that's right. And the people would be searching you and like, watching you all the time. You don't get some people walking their dogs, skateboarders coming past, and just you're able to walk about freely, aren't you, in all the historic monuments of Alcobaça, as well as the opera, as well as the monastery there. Is it a monastery? What else is there to do in Alcobaça that you would recommend?
Food. There's lots of restaurants here. Like, I love that there's great food by the monastery, but also in the newer part of Alcobaça, which is literally a block and a half away, the newer part, there's other restaurants, there's other family-owned businesses, and you can get anything you need with just a couple of feet away or a couple of blocks away, So there's plenty to do. There's a theater here, and the theater actually shows movies, and they have live productions, and they do TED Talks and things like that here sometimes. So the town always has something going on, but it's never overrun and overbearing, but there's always something, and it's still comfortable.
Yeah, I completely agree. And having been there for a little while, maybe you can answer my questions about Alcobaça, because it looks to me like it's a town of two halves, isn't it? There's the ancient part, and then there's the more modern part.
Correct.
And sorry, I'm going to say three halves, which of course goes against all the rules of math. But there is this new part, isn't there? There's the green park and retail kind of industrial zone / retail area. So is the grand plan for Alcobaça, do you think, to bring that all together ultimately? Is that what's going on? There is development going on there, isn't there?
Yes, it is. There's some development going on in the next few years. I'm not sure what the timeline is, but they've already thrown up an Aldi in that particular area. They're going to put some new homes over there. I believe it'll be some new apartment buildings or something along the lines, more modern. They've went against everything that they fought against here in Alcobaça. They fought against having a McDonald's, but they gave in and they allowed Burger King to slip into this new area. So that is the only fast food you will find here. And
how's that? Why would it be okay to have Burger King but not McDonald's, I wonder?
I don't know. Maybe it's the fries. I couldn't tell you.
But the mayor did like a French fry taste test.
Yeah, no.
Whoever wins this competition for the best French fries can open their concession in my town. I noticed that, Burger King and not McDonald's there on the
It's funny how that works.
It is, isn't it? You've got the most amazing vineyard there, the Capuchos.
Oh, yes. I actually plan on going there. I haven't been. I try to save a little bit. I didn't want to do everything in 1 year, so I have not been there. I'm actually planning on going there later next week.
Oh, fantastic! Their wines are extraordinary, and of course, one of the great secrets of Portugal that we love to uncover in our Good Morning Portugal Wine Club are the wonderful wines of Portugal. They're not known around the world. I think that's part of the. It's not a problem necessarily, but that's part of the phenomenon, I think. But those are especially good. I tried the Capuchos Rosé, which is a beautiful strawberry color with strawberry top notes as well, Ivy. It was really, really nice. I had that with my mum, who likes the occasional glass of rosé. She's joining us at 9:30 this morning. Apparently, you and James had a parallel migration experiences. You and I have lived parallel migration experiences, says James. Oh, Nubianette is here and feeling better, tuning in, but over there in California, for as long as I can keep my eyes open. Thank you for being here this morning. And it sounds like you're feeling better. Yes, your chick flu, as you were calling it, I think is behind you now. It sounded horrible. I unfortunately, talking of complaints, we've been talking about the Livro de Reclamações this morning, Ivy. I unfortunately chose to hang on to my only complaint, regarding my driver's license exchange. Please note past tense. He's letting it go. Downsides, negatives. It sounds like you're having a fantastic time here. Whenever I see you and when I see your wonderful postings to social media, you're having the time of your life, it would seem, in Portugal. Any other not so great things that you would want to bring to people's attention here?
Outside of the fact that my social media, Facebook was taken over by some weird guy, so you can go ahead and unfriend me at this point.
Okay.
Outside of that,
that was really weird. I mean, I'm so sorry to hear that because there were some beautiful memories on there. Is there no way of recovering it?
So I had friends that were still friends, and they went ahead and downloaded all of the pictures. I had someone put all of the pictures on a USB for me. Those were pictures from like 2010 when Facebook first started. So I had someone do that for me. So I'm able to recover the memories and the photos, the videos, not so much. But on the other side of being here in Portugal, I don't really have too many downsides. The only thing I can really honestly say was the weather from November through February was similar to what I've experienced in the US in the fall and winter time. It was cold, a little cool. It wasn't cold. It wasn't freezing, but it was cool and kind of dreary some months because of the rain. So to me, that was a little disheartening, but it wasn't a kill all be all. You know, it was okay. It's weather. It's weather. You know, the sun will come out tomorrow. You know, tomorrow.
That's the spirit. Yeah. No, I mean, it was a harsh and wet winter, wasn't it? This year?
It was. It left for everything to be super green right now, so I can't complain.
Yeah. We struggle with the winter, but I guess if that's our only struggle and complaint, it can't be too bad, can it?
Exactly. I haven't had the bureaucracies. I read enough about it on the internet to what to expect. You know, if I want internet, I won't get it today. I'll get it tomorrow night, you know, or whatever the case may be. So, of course, there's those little nuances of timeliness that everyone else has expectations of, you know, but I always say expectations are predetermined resentment. So if you let go of those things and you just let it happen naturally and organically, you'll end up being okay. Just
hold on a minute. Let me just rewind there. Expectations of what? That's fantastic. Expectations are
predetermined resentment.
Wow. Okay. Is that from military training or the Landmark Forum? Where did that come from?
I thought of that probably in the late 90s, early 2000s, because I had expectations of, you know, my husband at the time. And I was like, you know, you should be trying to make me happy and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, so, you know, whatever, you know, the things that
I know the thing.
And we're really young and, you know, in love and things. And so then afterwards I thought about it. I was like, I set myself, him, anyone else, it's a set up for failure. If you have expectations from someone that they are not able to complete or do not have the knowledge or ignorant of. So then you're automatically upset and angry. And this person has no control over your emotions. So expectations are predetermined resentment. So you're basically setting yourself up.
That is wonderful. And we want you to come back on a regular basis with such pithy wisdom. You have been likened to a superhero after all this morning. Can I just say that Ivy Dawn sounds like a Marvel superhero character? And maybe that's your superpower. You just turn up at the right moment and do a mic drop quote like that. And say,
Poison Ivy out. No.
It's like, oh no, here she comes. She's going to cut through all our nonsense with some wisdom. Run!
Exactly. Yeah, and then make a joke at the end so it's palatable.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Marvel, if you're watching, Ivy will want to sign a contract for that, maybe. You'll have to speak to people about that, but that's wonderful. News from Setúbal this morning. The whole family's new residence cards arrived this week. We really are good for another 3 years. These are the wonderful milestones. You just celebrated your year. How did you celebrate, Ivy, with your year milestone? Lots of things to do, as you said, in Alcobaça.
There's so much to do here, and the wine actually brings another thought to grocery store wine. You know, where I come from, you grocery store wine, you're a bum. If you're drinking grocery store wine, you're a wino.
Another quote.
Yeah. So here I can get a beautiful bottle of grocery store wine and celebrate with my friends that I've gathered here over the past year. And my daughter actually moved here recently as well, and my sister. Yeah, my sister is here for her third time, and she's definitely making her way here soon. So she's retired for the second time in her life. And she's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to definitely be here soon. So she's here hanging out for a few months. So that's kind of how I celebrated, with friends and family and grocery store wine.
Fantastic. No better way. That's wonderful. I want to ask you more about your sister. Retiring twice. That sounds like fun, especially if you can get 2 pensions out of it. That's not too bad, is it? Going back to how the admin bureaucracy side didn't phase you. It sounds like you were conditioned by the military to deal with a certain amount of that. But you did the baby steps thing by the sound of it. You just broke it down into step by step. And that's the way, that's a military strategist. That's Sun Tzu's approach, isn't it? The art of bureaucracy, almost.
The art of bureaucracy, exactly.
And that's what you would recommend to others, is it? It's like, okay, you're overwhelmed, maybe you're officially overwhelmed. Break it down, make a list. That's the way forward. And it didn't phase you. It
really didn't. Maybe I was disheartened because I didn't sign the contract as fast as I wanted, or things of that nature. But at the end of the day, I just took a step back and said, it could be worse. I could not be doing this at all. And I could be, I'm not going to say stuck in America, because that sounds, kind of awful to say, but I could be, doing something else in a worse place, and not as better off as I am now. So just take everything one step at a time. Don't expect something that you had in your previous home and have those same expectations on people who don't know you, nor do they care about your expectations. And I think everybody has to let go of that. They care nothing about what you used to get and how you had to be contacted every 24 hours for customer service to make you happy. That's not how that works. It's okay to be different and accept the difference of lifestyle and experience.
Yeah, really good advice this morning. So good to talk to you. And your sister played a part, I think, as well. Emotional support. Would you recommend having a close friend or a relative you get on with being there in that role as well? Is that how it worked with you and your sister?
I think she was definitely a help to push me. I'm the younger sister. She's older. So it was definitely a push to help me forward. But what I did want to mention, I also thought about this yesterday. A lot of people who are coming over here, I'm single. And so they are scared, and they're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this by myself, and it's overwhelming. How did you do it? It's absolutely easy. Once you set your mind to it and you have no expectations and you have your list and you have your things, it'll be fine, because you won't be alone when you get here. There's so many English speaking people. There's so many beautiful Portuguese people who will just sit there and mumble through it with you. You won't be alone, and you'll have a family and a network within a matter of weeks. So it will be fine if you're single.
Great to hear that. And do you think that's generally an experience around all of Portugal, or is that especially a Portugal, the place community, Alcobaça thing?
No, I think it's all around Portugal. Hence, I met you. I would jump on the bus and go to São Martinho to meet these strange people that I never met before. And so, every Wednesday I'm there, drinking wine, grocery store wine with, these beautiful people. And so now I have them as friends too, so like I said, you're never alone. And then once you get here and you're more acclimated to the culture, you'll be not so afraid to step out and try to communicate more with the Portuguese people, the people that are already here, and form a community and bond with them as well. And so your family just grows in every direction here in Portugal.
That's really, really good to hear, especially for those solo travelers who have a little bit of concern about that.
It'll be fine. Give me a call.
Oh, that's a really nice offer as well. And of course, it is San Martino de Porto meetup day today. A couple of things to mention to you. The meetup, that will be happening at 1 or thereabouts. We don't get our knickers in a twist, our panties in a bunch about being there bang on 1 o'clock. That's another expat thing, foreigner immigrant thing that you can let go of.
Let it go.
Let it go. People will be there, though, between 1 and 3 today. And another announcement to make today. In these strange financial times that we're living in, we welcome to the Good Morning Portugal YouTube channel, Fiduciary Wealth Management, Paul Correa and Matt Penfold will be with us from 11 this morning, broadcasting on the Good Morning Portugal channel. If you've any questions about wealth management or the markets, the macroeconomic view, come and join us. Paul, always great value with his view and analysis of the macroeconomic situation. I don't think we need to upset our conversation with talk about money and finance and inflation at the moment, right, Ivy Dawn? It's kind of weird,
totally unnecessary. It's just about those expectations. I expect money to fall from the sky to make my life easy. It's not going to happen. So let's just work with what I have.
You are a bit of, you said before, didn't you? I think you used the word manifestation. Are you a little bit of a law of attraction, thoughts become things kind of person?
Yes. Okay. Absolutely. 100,000%. I am. And I got that from my mother. She's written a few books on it. So at that point, I'm like, yeah, it should be, this must be a real thing. And it works because literally everything that I think of, not, like I'm not going to be like facetious about it, but most things that I really want, you start to build a process to get these things. And so you manifest and it comes to fruition. Just like, man, I really, really want this plant to grow. Well, if you don't water, it's not going to grow. Right. So if I water it and give it plant food, then guess what? It's going to grow. So that type of thing. It's easy. It's nothing mysterious about it. It's just.
And your mum is an author on the subject.
She does. Yeah, she's written a few books. She's gotten a little older on us now, but she's got a couple of little books out there, small published, nothing major, but definitely.
Bring her with you next time, if you don't
Sure.
mind. I've brought my mum to work this morning. She joins us in a few minutes' time. It's been fantastic talking to you. I know you've got to go. I love it. Expectations are
predetermined resentment.
Look, it's teamwork. Jim White and Bob. That'd be great there, please, Mrs. M. Oh, sorry. I thought you were leaning across me. You just want to flash the good morning. Come and say hello to Ivy here. She's not wearing any makeup. She's not saying hello.
Oh, she's not ready. I understand. I'll see you later.
Predetermined resentment. Good stuff. Well said. Is that copyrighted or can I use it as well? You're a chip off the old block, Ivy Dawn. I think your mum's very wise. I think you have that too, especially with that. People are going to remember that. Expectations are predetermined resentment. Fantastic stuff. Jim also continuing to say it'll be 20 degrees. Look at that, Porto rising to 20 today up there in the cold north of Portugal. Grocery store wine sounds like a great country and western song. It does, doesn't it?
Yes.
Grocery store wine.
I love it. I think I'll come up with a jingle.
You should. Oh, that'd be wonderful. Ivy, thank you for your positive energy. We and James share your experience of leaving the United States there. Easy. That's one of the tracks, I think, from Grocery Store Wine, a cover of Easy Like a Sunday Morning. When all those bottles of grocery store wine are lying around the apartment, easy like a Sunday morning. Oh, a final question for you then. Maybe one that some of us avoid. How is your Portuguese going?
Measure minus. It's going pretty well. I can definitely hear better than I can speak in full sentences. I've been taking class since June of last year. So I've just been going nonstop. I finished my A1 already. And I'm just taking like intermittent classes. I'm meeting with different people and we're having what we call tea and talks. So I think I feel pretty confident when people are talking to me. So, but not that I can regurgitate a conversation back. I'm just still kind of like cat, dog, house, big, little, small, just.
Yeah, fair enough. No, that's how it begins, isn't it? So, well, yeah, I mean, you're obviously, I think your gregarious nature and positive nature is paying off in the language department, isn't it? You're just talking to people and connecting with people. And I think building language is a natural part of that, isn't it? Of being open and receptive to the culture. So
you have to.
Yeah. Okay. Victoria's in. Hola, bon dia, kids from Portimao this morning as well. And look at this. Agreeing with you is James. I have more friends at one time now than at any other time in my life. So for anyone who's concerned about making friends, being a foreigner over here, and maybe being lonely, unfounded possibly.
Well, I'm sorry.
That was a question there, but they needn't worry. They needn't worry about making.
No, friends. It's unfounded worry. Of course, do not worry about it. Once you set foot on ground, you'll have so many people that open their arms to you, and then you'll be able to pick and choose who you want to hang out with after that.
Yeah, fantastic. Yes. Well, it's going to be a different kind of problem, I think, isn't it? Whilst some people are concerned about not making friends, sometimes you can make too many, can't you, when you're an expat, foreigner, immigrant coming into the country? And then
I swear.
And then you have to sort of be a little bit selective thereafter, don't you? So no need to worry anyone about making new friends in the new country. Last words, last thoughts from you, Ivy Dawn. I know you got to go, busy day. And again, another phenomenon of being here, people think to themselves, I'll have a very relaxing life when I move to Portugal. Not necessarily the case. Are you really busy now?
I am super busy. And my final words to everyone here, when you decide to get here and settle down and you get your new furniture and you finally get your picture and you're planting them all, get yourself a calendar for your social life, because it's horrible to stand a friend up for dinner because you're having coffee or grocery store wine with someone else and somebody's sitting there waiting for dinner for you because you make plans. So get yourself a calendar, write it down, and don't expect anything. Go with the flow and just love it. That's it. That's all I have.
Wonderful advice. Marvel, you need to sign this woman up. The superhero with the wisdom around moving to Portugal. Ivy Dawn, do come back when you're celebrating your next milestone. It's been fantastic talking to you this morning.
Sure. Thank you so much, Carl. Have a great day.
You two have a great day. Love to Alcobaça and everyone at Portugal, the place. Take care. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao. There she goes. Ivy Dawn. Wonderful. Superb. Look at this. Ask Anything About Portugal Wednesday. We're going to move now from Ivy Dawn to my mother. So please. Oh, look, she looks all little in the camera. Maybe can we tilt the camera down a little bit? Production over there. That'll be wonderful. That's fantastic. Okay, behave yourselves and look busy because my mother is here. Let's give her a nice round of applause. It's Bring Your Mum to Work Day. Hello, Mother.
Morning.
Sounding a bit serious this morning. Everything okay?
Yes, fine.
What is the accommodation like where you're staying at the moment? Will you be leaving a positive review?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Do you want the complaints book? We have a thing here in Portugal called the complaints book. Do you need that?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. Look at this. You've already got fans here. Mum! Now, I'm hoping that on this occasion, you won't embarrass me, although there's probably little chance of that not happening. You were asked last time what I was like as a little boy, and you said I was a mummy's boy. Do you remember that?
Yes, of course.
What, me being a mummy's boy or saying that on the show, or probably both?
Both.
Okay. And you are here in Portugal. Look at this. Mum, Carl's mum. Bon dia, Carl's mum, and bon dia, Carl's mum. Lovely mum.
Bon dia.
Your fans are here. So what do you want to tell them about your current stay in Portugal? Are you enjoying it on this occasion?
Oh, it's beautiful. Always, always. I love Portugal and I love its people.
Right. Okay. Any standout experiences on this particular trip, apart from my cooking, which you taught me, of course?
Well, it's the weather. It's so great, and it's so much warmer than the UK.
Yeah, it is. You have been enjoying just sitting in the sun, haven't you? Oh, and reading the Knights Templar book that
yes.
John Heimbach bought for me as a gift.
It's a very interesting book.
Okay, but you think human nature hasn't changed a great deal?
Not much.
Despite the passing centuries, we're pretty much the same as human beings. Look, your fan mail is continuing to pour in. Good to see you again, Sue, says Bob. Please regale us with stories. You might have to ask a few questions. I did say earlier on that my mother is extremely well travelled. I foresee her playing travel top trumps with Mr. Bleach here, who we know has been to quite a few countries around the world as well. Capricorn Chris is encouraging you to spill the beans, Carl's mum, on Bring Your Mum to Work Day. A heart from Lord Gilchrist. Hola, mum, from Nom de Plume as well. And Jim. You met Jim here, of course. Hi, mum. Nice to see you again. So tell us about a few of the places you've been before we focus in any more on Portugal, Mother. And it's so great to have you here in the studio with me, because last time I think you were in a different room with a funky headset on. Here you are in the proper studio. Tell us about some of the amazing places you've been to. Of course, you started your life in the Far East as I don't know if the Portuguese call the Far East like the Brits do, but that's where you started your life. And you seem to have been a perpetual traveler and migrant ever since. You love travel, right?
Absolutely. Meet the people, enjoy the life, and get to know other cultures.
And that's what you've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about some of the places you've been to.
The memorable ones were Alaska.
Alaska, right.
the inlets of Alaska. I understand you have a very well-traveled person on as well. I'd like to ask him a few questions.
Oh,
Please.
turning the tables, nicely done. It is Solar Life Portugal. I think he probably does get the title as of most travelled person. Why, are you thinking of making more plans to go to other places you've not been to yet? Is that why you want to talk to Pete?
Yes, of course.
Okay. How bad is it on Plague Island? Any tips on the tombs and pyramids of Egypt? So have you been to Egypt?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Okay. Any tips about travel in Egypt? And did you see the pyramids?
Oh, yes, yes. I think it's one of those things that it's a must.
To go see the pyramids?
Yes, of course. The Valley of the Kings, etc.
Okay.
It has a beautiful, beautiful history. And can you imagine all those many years ago, the pharaohs leaving behind the legacy that they have today?
Yeah, I don't like the idea of having your staff buried with you. I think that's
Why not?
Well, just in case there are a few jobs to attend to, or if you get peckish. Okay, all right. So, how bad is it on Plague Island? That's a cheeky reference to the UK. How are you finding life in the UK at the moment? Because you have, I was asking you the other day, wasn't I, about what you've considered to be the heyday. As somebody who moved to England as a migrant, what the heyday was of being in the UK, and you said the 60s and the 80s. Would you stand by that?
Oh, yes, I do. Yes.
Okay. And what was it like arriving in London in the swinging 60s? I bet it was amazing, wasn't it?
Very strange. It was amazing. And it was a kind of scary as well, because I was young and little experience. And I was also at that particular time a rarity to the opposite sex, because they very seldom see an Asian young woman with long black hair almost down to her waist. So it was just...
So you were a head-turning phenomenon in 60s London.
Well, I don't know about that, but it was unusual. So it's a kind of... They find it unusual to see another female coming to the opposite side of the world.
Yeah, and the stereotype of London at the time was of swinging 60s London with people in miniskirts, mainly women, of course.
Yes.
And men in bowler hats with brollies.
Oh,
was it actually like that?
Yes.
So if you went to the underground station or the commuter belt coming into London, men actually wore bowler hats and carried umbrellas?
Not so much as traveling from my remembering it. It was mainly at the restaurants at lunchtime. You would see them with a bowler hat. Actually, it's quite smart looking.
Pinstripe suit, bowler hat.
Oh, indeed. Yes.
So maybe that would be one of your comparisons between UK of the 60s and now. People just wear baseball caps now, don't they? And casual wear. The standards have dropped, haven't they, Mum?
Much less formality.
Yeah.
It was standard suddenly drop in a sudden way, but you have to go with the fashion at the time, don't you, really?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Talking of fashion, I wonder if you would think this is a strong look for a man, and if you would countenance me wearing this if I was doing a few jobs around the house.
My gosh, no, thank you very much.
Okay, let's get rid of that then. Okay, and we'll go back to the questions. My gosh, no, thank you very much. Worst review ever of my brokini aspirations there. What is this? How does Mum notice any or many similarities between Portugal and the East? Now, we have had this conversation as well, haven't we? Because the Portuguese, of course, incredible travelers, and you admire them for that. They made their way, didn't they, to the Straits of Malacca, among other places?
Gosh, they were there for 150 years. And it's one of the very pleasant places that I've been to in, I have traveled quite a bit on the top of Malaysia, which is Kedah, and not too much in the East Coast, but I think that was the West Coast near Singapore. beautiful, beautiful place. And as I say, 150 years. And they left a great legacy behind. And they were great colonizers. They appreciate the local culture and they abide by their culture instead of trying to change them.
Okay, all right. And the food, of course, the Portuguese will have left their mark with they've brought food back because Portuguese love their food. So you'll see an incongruous samosa here, which we've enjoyed, haven't we? How did that happen? But that is the Portuguese, isn't it? Going around the world and bringing things back, but also leaving some of their influence. Custard tarts. I'm guessing you probably tried a custard tart very early on in life. You didn't have to wait till you came to Portugal. Those are around the world as well, aren't they?
Yes, it's one of my favorite tarts. The custard ones, especially the Portuguese style.
Portuguese style custard tarts. Okay, we have had word from Pete, who I think has got a recommendation for you. I went to Egypt but forgot to see the pyramids. Said no one ever. Thank you, James, for that. Where's Mum from originally? I forgot. So Singapore. You spent a lot of your childhood around Singapore and Malaysia, right?
Yes.
Okay. My favourite then, says Pete. My favourites thus far. And please chip in, everyone. Where should my mum go next? And what are your favourite places around the world? What are your favourite memories? Do let us know in the chat. My favourites thus far, says Pete, were swinging with orangutans. Oh, I didn't know you were a swinger. In Sumatra and climbing in the Himalayas, which is what posh British people said. I used to work with them at the Geological Museum. The Himalayas, both awesome fun to try. My favourite place after Portugal, probably Bhutan, but you need an invitation. Have you been to Bhutan, Mum?
No, not Bhutan, because I was more towards India and Nepal. Maybe I should go to Bhutan. I think I do fancy Antarctica.
Okay, so that's next on your list, Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
It's cold and it's just somewhere different.
Okay. Have you hung out with orangutans? I know being with us here is like hanging out with a bunch of primates at the moment, what with the grandchildren and everything and me. But have you been up close? Actually, you and we were at Singapore Zoo, weren't we? And we held a baby orangutan.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes. I came across one when I was staying with some family in Penang, and they had a orangutan in their courtyard, and I was told not to go near it because it's rather vicious. But fortunately for me, I got on very well with that creature.
This is you, Mum, isn't it? So if someone says, "Do not go near," do not go near the vicious monkey.
Yeah.
Within 30 minutes, you'll be the one who is playing with the vicious monkey and has tamed it and is having a great photo taken. Long before the selfie came, there you were with the so-called alleged vicious orangutan at the bottom of the garden there. Fantastic. Have you been anywhere near the Himalayas?
Give me some places. Himalayas.
Okay, so you might have seen the Himalayas in the distance of some places you've been to. We have got Nuno here. Nuno Mensch from Insurance. Finally back in Portugal. He's just got back from Bali. Have you ever been to Bali?
No, unfortunately, it was too near, and I just keep thinking that I'll get there because it's near enough. But unfortunately,
that can happen, can't it?
Yes, I gone farther and farther afield.
And I suppose, it's a bit like living in London, isn't it? And not going to a West End show. You tend not to do what's on your doorstep. So that may be why you missed out on Bali. And when you were growing up in the Far East, then, did you just think, I want to go to Europe? I want to see Europe. Is that how it works? So like for Europeans, it's like, I want to go to Australia and I want to go to the Far East. And it's vice versa for those growing up in the Far East.
It is because different culture. You want to learn about other people's way of life.
Yes.
And I was in the travel industry, so it makes sense for me to travel as much as I could.
Yeah. And have you managed to tick most of those boxes? Because presumably when you're in the Far East and looking at Europe, you're thinking, I'd like to go to Paris, see the Eiffel Tower. I need to go to London, obviously. And you did that. What else would have been on your list at the time?
Not really anything in particular, because I like to feel that I do something on the spur of the moment as well. But I have found the Siberian or express that goes from Russia to via Mongolia, via China. That was very interesting.
So you have been on the Trans-Siberian Express?
Yes.
Okay. Have you been to the Machu Picchu?
Yes. Oh, that's...
These are the classics, aren't they? And it's a
Yes.
yes and a yes and a yes.
Yes.
Tell us about your time in the Machu Picchu.
Oh, you have to, if my memory serves me right, you have to learn to take on the altitude air, and you need to sort of learn how to breathe properly. And in my case, I needed oxygen.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so they're standing by with oxygen to help people.
No. I had to. They sort of, what do you call it? They got you acclimatized, as it were, the word, before you go up. But the other thing about going up to Machu Picchu is, if you could possibly spend the night up there when everybody's gone, and when you wake up in the morning, and it's beautiful, beautiful.
Sounds amazing. African safari, I think, was one of your more recent trips, wasn't it? And you've been to India in the last few years as well?
Yes. Botswana, Namibia would be one of those that I would definitely say I wouldn't mind going back to Namibia again.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place with wildlife. If you're into wildlife, and Botswana.
Well, it's on the way to Antarctica, isn't it? So if any TV production crews are watching and you want to do a TV show called Carl's Mum Goes to Antarctica via Namibia, for example, just as a program idea, you'd be up for that, I think, wouldn't you, Mother?
Oh, yes, indeed.
Okay. Whilst giving out wisdom, I think, as well. Reflections on life. I'd watch that for sure. Suze is glad of your take or your opinion on the mankini as well. Not a fan. We'll come to that as well as the other questions. Oh no, here it is. I agree, Sue. Re-mankini, no. Thank you very much. Okay, not a strong look for a fella then, in your estimations, both of you there. Andrew remembers. Back in the day, we were talking about swinging 60s London, weren't we? I was swinging with orangutans and swinging 60s London this morning. I remember the bowler hat commuters getting on the trains in Guildford, the most Surrey-esque of Surrey places, Guildford, of course. And I imagine they would have had their own seat, and it would have been terribly off, old chap, if you appeared to be sitting in my seat when I get on. I paid a lot of money on my season ticket.
Indeed.
Yes. Standards dropped, apparently. All controversial. Standards dropped because they copied Americans. Stop it. I loved those times, says Pete. Proper train doors, smoking compartments on the train. So you'll remember that, Mum, right? I mean, everyone smoked in the 60s, didn't they? Even the children.
Yes.
Everywhere you went, somebody was lighting up a cigarette.
It's a question of they're inhaling secondary smoking.
For the kids. Yep. I think it was me. I put pressure on you, didn't I, as a child to stop smoking?
Yes.
And then I started myself.
Yes.
Like you do.
Well, preaching is one thing. Adhering to the rules is another.
That's the wisdom I'm talking about. There you go, right there. My highlights, says Lord Gilchrist. We've got a Lord watching you this morning. Diving on the Great Barrier Reef and the Whitsunday Islands.
Yes.
What?
Yes,
which of those? Both?
No, I've been.
Of course you have. Right. Slam door trains are sorely missed. And the privy compartments. Nom de plume, mine was swimming in the Ganges and drinking the Ganges. I think anyone who drinks the Ganges definitely has a memorable holiday, do they not?
I would not recommend that.
Okay.
Unless you have a very strong stomach.
Yes. And when I went to Delhi, I'm a bit of a chip off the old block here. I don't go out of my way to travel, but I do like it when it happens. And when I was in India on business, I was taken to the backstreet restaurants where colleagues of mine told me, or they told the other colleague, do not take him there, you'll kill him. by by taking him out for lunch there. I went and had a fantastic time in the parts of New Delhi where most people don't go. But nom de plume, I think a sip of Ganges water, big mistake, memorable holiday. I used to live in Bukit Batok. Do you know this part of Singapore, Mother?
Yes.
Jurong?
Yes.
Okay, all right. What do you love about Singapore? Because I know that has an enduring. Whilst you could say the UK has changed in your estimations over the years, and it's certainly changed as a country, hasn't it? Let's be fair. What with Brexit and everything now, Singapore seems to have remained a fairly consistent standard of life, hasn't it, for its inhabitants?
It's a progressive country.
Yeah.
It looks ahead, at least 15 years ahead of its Singapore. And Singapore's government do not sit on their laurel. They look forward. And they know you can't just take it for granted.
No, whereas in the UK they've got instead of a 15-year plan, they've got a 15-day plan. I think in the UK, haven't they? On a good day. Antonio F. As far as I know, an ancient form of Portuguese is still talked in Malacca as Creole, a Papia Cristã, based on what would that be? The 16th century Portuguese. How about that? Getting around the world. Mrs. M, pleased to see you on the screen with an hola bon dia. She's been to Bali, you know. I loved the Cinque Terre in Italy, a memory there. I don't know that. That's interesting, James. Thank you very, very much for that. You've been to Italy, Mother, haven't you? Because granddaughter lives
Certain
there.
parts of Italy, yes.
What do you make of the Italian lifestyle and culture?
Oh, lovely.
Food.
Yes, for sure.
Let's talk about food then. You're a great cook. You love your food. I would say that generally speaking, as a generalization, Chinese food is probably the best in the world. Italian second?
Yes, I agree, because it's so wholesome too.
Yeah.
And they take great pride in cooking. And if you ask an Italian, why does your food taste so good? It's cooked with love.
I met that guy. And what other things have you eaten around the world then? Memorable things?
Oh, I very nearly tried once the spider.
What?
No, but I was stopped. I was told it wasn't a good idea. I think it was.
What was it, leg or breast?
No, the whole thing.
Hold on a minute. So you were offered spider. How is it prepared?
Oh, I don't know. It was in sort of. We were traveling. It was somewhere from the hawkers.
What, street food?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then suddenly the tour guide said to me when he thought that I was going to game for going for the spider, he said,
"No,
I wouldn't do that because it will really make you very ill because you're not used to it."
But you were going to go for it?
Oh, I was. Yeah. I like to try something new.
It's not a bad idea, is it? 8 legs on there. That's enough for a family, isn't it? One leg each for a good Catholic family.
But the only problem is the thought of it. It's kind of revolting.
Yeah, but presumably they shave the hairy legs of the spider before they deep fry it.
I have no idea. No idea. Possibly not, because they like to eat everything whole.
Wow. Okay. Anything else? Any other culinary memories from around the world? Where's the worst food that you've had around the world?
Unfortunately, it
Heathrow.
was no. It was in I can't remember the place where you live in the yurt.
Oh, Mongolia.
Mongolia.
You weren't too keen on the Mongolian food? Yak milk.
Yes, and I was told definitely by the doctor, do not drink that.
Don't drink the yak milk.
Yeah, when I usually ask their opinion where I go.
Yeah.
Or is it a good idea? And they say, yes, you can go, but I wouldn't drink the milk if I were you.
Okay, all right. Spider in Thailand is quite nice. Deep fried in spices. Twilit on the outside and gooey on the inside. Twilit, is that a culinary expression? The worst one is water beetle. The wings expand in your mouth and throat. Maybe that's why some people like it. I don't know. Gary Austin says, I wish I tried the fruit bat curry in the Seychelles. Mealworms do taste quite nutty, though. Well, it sounds like you're ready for the WEF diet forthcoming when it comes to eating the grubs there. Garvo's with us this morning. He's saying to you, this is how we should approach you here in Portugal, Dona Munson. We've got a Dona Munson in our family, but that's the Portuguese way of respecting you there. Durian. Now, that's a classic, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It is quite tasty. It's only the pungent odor that puts people off. In Singapore, you're not allowed to buy and take it to the hotel.
Death penalty.
At all. Well, I wouldn't say...
No, not quite as drastic as that. Okay.
No.
All right. But yeah, some hotels won't let you take the durian fruit in, will they?
No, not at all.
Okay. West coast of Malaysia, mother, up to Langkawi.
Langkawi is beautiful.
Truly
Unfortunately, I never got the chance to get there, but Penang, I would recommend anytime.
Yeah, beautiful,
it's
isn't it?
Beautiful place.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. You took me there when I was a teenager. It was
Yes.
great. My next destination is going to be either Italy or the Azores, says Lord Gilchrist. Virginia's here. Haven't seen you for a while, Virginia. Great to see you. Hola! And Mandy of Mandy and Jim likes Chiang Mai Island, Paris, and Bruges. I imagine you've been to all of those, mother, right? We've been
Bruges,
to
yeah. Oh, for sure.
the
yes.
amusingly named Phuket in Thailand.
Mhm. I took you there.
You did? You
Yes.
did? Yeah, absolutely. Phuket. Paris, I think we've been to as well, haven't we? Because we've
Mhm.
relatives in northern France.
Mhm.
Bruges. Do you like Bruges?
Yes, I did.
Okay, people do like Bruges. Simon's here as well. 3 peas in a pod. Bon dia todos as well. We did talk about hanging around with orangutans. And when I was in the monkey forest, says Mrs. M. Barley, I hired an old lady to chase off the monkeys. There's a fleet of older Balinese ladies who chase them off for tourists.
Mhm.
It's a nice little job, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Where in Bali did you go, Nunu? Mrs. M would like to know. Bali to the Australians. It's like Torremolinos for the Brits. That's true, isn't it? And perhaps that's another reason why you didn't go there, mother. It's just like right on your doorstep
Mm.
and a little bit touristy, commercial, perhaps. Bon dia from Virginia. A good group visit to Antarctica is. There you go. You've got your wish there for a little bit of info about the Antarctic with Cheeseman's Ecology Safaris. Now,
Wow.
I don't know if that's a cheese-based or a Blessed Are the Cheesemakers kind of tour there, or just the name of the family. Cheeseman's Ecology Safaris took 2 cruises with them. Stunning vistas. So there you go. We'll make a note of that.
Mm.
Paris syndrome. This is what I was referring to earlier on. Psychological condition experienced almost exclusively by Japanese tourists who are disappointed when the City of Lights does not live up to their romantic expectations,
Mhm.
especially at the moment when you're greeted by 13,000 riot cops. At the moment, Machu Picchu is better by hike than by train. Far better to see it when there's no one around, and that's what you said, Mum, isn't it?
Yes.
You were there,
Yes.
having fun before. What the tourists had gone home, and you were able to wake up there.
Yes. Yes. That is a much better experience. The other place that I try to remember is the name where I went out from Machu Picchu to the Nazca line. If anybody's interested, go out to see the Nazca lines.
Where's that? Is that in Peru as well?
It is in somewhere in the South America, sort of near.
Nazca line.
Yeah.
All right.
It's extremely interesting because nobody knew where that came from.
Yeah.
But you cannot actually go down onto the site. You have to look at it via helicopter.
Yeah. Okay.
I stayed the night there so that I could actually see that. We took a bus to go there. But nowadays, I'm sure you can just fly there and back in a day.
Okay, there you go. Safari, you say earlier on. We've just spent a week traveling Portugal with Jennifer of Jen Safaris. Beyond Portugal, that's our next travel plan. A bit of safari action there. A bit later in the 60s, everyone was still smoking, but not necessarily cigarettes. The old devil's lettuce, eh? Mum, check out the Arctic Circle and the Sami, the Laps. In Lapland, they still stay in teepees and herd reindeer.
Yes.
You're not afraid of it, even though you're from a very hot country. You're not afraid of a bit of cold weather, are you? You don't mind it?
No. when it's cold, you can put layers on.
And you would need to. At -40,
Yes.
there's a renowned outdoor market in February.
Yeah.
Another question for you. Any tips to get, okay, parenting now. Any tips to get a sulky child who is scared of the dentist to go and get an appointment?
Subterfuge.
Oh, really? Bit of psychological
Yes.
malarkey going on. Okay,
Yes.
all right, very good. Thank you for that. They were beginning to tell the cigarette smokers it was bad for their health. What? Who knew? So they looked for alternatives. It's funny that, isn't it? When everybody was smoking in the 60s, no one thought anything of it, did they?
No.
Apart from that annoying cough first thing in the morning, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And from what I get from the dentist, it's extremely bad for your gums, smoking.
Yes, well said. So there you go. Right back at you, Pete, there. He's a bit of a naughty smoker, Mum. Tell him.
Oh, well, I'd give it up if I were you.
There you go. Twiglet.
It's not easy, is it, really?
Oh, it sounds like spider leg might taste like Twiglets, which are an acquired taste. They are the Marmite of the snack market, I think, aren't they? Okay, take your kids early to the dentist is a way of getting them happy with the dentist. Durian is disgusting. Ew, says Pete. I do love me some Italy. Penang is amazing. We've talked, haven't we, Chris, about Penang? The Dordogne area of France. Lovely. Plan to go back. You like a bit of France as well, don't you, Mum?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Food of the gods. It's the Marmite of fruit, the durian fruit.
Exactly.
Solomon, grandchild Solomon, and Miss Sim are watching. He's asking, why is Grandma on YouTube? Are you a YouTuber, Grandma?
Not
You are
really.
now. You are now.
Yeah, I am
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
Apparently.
Carl Hyde is here. Another Carl. It's a good name, isn't it, Mum? But you chose it.
Yes.
Okay. Belmain bug, the shellfish, is insanely tasty and draws with barracuda barbecue in honey, lime, and ginger as my favorite. Oh, I think another fond memory of the Seychelles there, possibly. Belmont, different, however. That's a truly unique culinary experience in Portugal. You like the Portuguese food, don't you, Ma?
Oh, absolutely.
Why is that? What is it about the Portuguese food that you like?
I like everything about Portugal.
Right.
Anything to do with Portugal.
Yeah.
I'm there.
There you go. Don't forget to do the Peaky Blinders tour in Digbooth, Mrs. M. Have you been to Birmingham? Have we been to the Bullring Shopping Centre there in Birmingham?
Yes.
Do you like Birmingham? Oh, damned by faint praise, possibly here.
If you're going for business, yes.
What, jewelry business in
Any
Birmingham?
business.
Okay, all right. And the famous Peaky Blinders tour as well. Whatever the destination, the best is to take the backpack and embrace the adventure. So before we do a little brace of dad jokes, and that's how we like to finish the show, Ma, and maybe you've got a mum joke or two. Mum jokes are fantastic. You've treated me to a few of those over the years. But what's your advice then for travelers, to the younger folk? I mean, it's a funny world we're living in, and we'll be talking about finances at 11 with the Money and Finance podcast for expats with Paul and Matt. Funny times in the world at the moment. What's your philosophy, your worldview, and your advice to the young people of the world right now?
Well, take it as it comes. Don't take it too seriously. That's about it, isn't it, really? If you take something too seriously, it's bound to go wrong.
They can be a bit serious, the youngsters, can't they? And some would say we've given them a fair bit to be serious about, but your advice would be to enjoy life, presumably. That's the shorthand here, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I mean, you need to take something seriously, and others sort of go with the flow.
Laugh it off, go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think we're possibly back to the Ganges now. If any mum jokes occur to you, do share them with us now that you're a YouTuber here on the Good Morning Portugal show. Mum, I drank holy water mixed with laxatives and accidentally started a religious movement.
We don't need that, do we?
Nobody likes that first thing in the morning, do they?
No.
Okay. If only I could blame autocorrect for the things I say. That would be good, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you occasionally say things in a forthright manner that get you into trouble?
Nearly all the time.
When I was a kid, we played outside until the streetlights came on. After that, the weakest among us ended up on Unsolved Mysteries. Yikes! But that's the old days, isn't it? When kids did play out on the streets until it was time to go home because it was dark or your mum called you in for tea. Do you think we should go back to those times?
I think it's yes, it's nice because you don't have all these sort of worries all the time.
Yeah.
Are they safe?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, bring back the old days and the old ways of parenting. Mothers of some of my students understand why some animals eat their young. That's your sort of humour, isn't it, Mum? I think you get on pretty well.
Yes.
With Pete.
Stir fried or something like that.
And doing always reminds me of the sound of a busted bed spring. And that's another, maybe a parting piece of advice. May you be lucky enough in your life to break a few bed springs, eh? Ciao, Bellas. Off to visit the outlaws in deepest, darkest France. He might be going to the no internet, so may not be about for a while. Bye, Randy. We will miss you and not seeing you on the screen here, but have a great time on France. Be careful over there on the streets. I think people are keeping warm on the streets at the moment, what with expensive energy bills and protesting about their pensions. You could have, I've been to the Victorian Tea Room in the Birmingham Museum. It's really nice. And there is a mummified cat there. And you can tell it's a mummified cat because it's got the two little ears underneath all the bandaging or embalming layers there. Great stuff, Mother. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
You are open, are you not, to production company offers to have your own TV show going around the world?
Oh, yes. I'll handle the baggage if they want
you're
me to.
You're the star of the show.
Oh,
You're
right.
the star of the show. See you at 11, everybody, for some macroeconomic insight and penetration of the strange financial times that we're living in. We'll be here on this channel with Paul and Matt of Fiduciary Wealth Management. What are we having for lunch or dinner today, Mother?
Something interesting. I can't think of it at the moment.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for having me around.
It's a pleasure. And thank you so much for being here. Let's give you a nice big round of applause. And we'll say goodbye to everybody until 11 o'clock or tomorrow morning. We'll be back again with the Good Morning Portugal show. Take care and bye for now. Muito obrigado. May. Right, where's the outro? She's keen to get to her coffee and pastel de nata, I think. Let's play the outro and we'll see you later or tomorrow. Take care. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.